Welcome to Four Collectors.
Yo, welcome to the Four Collectors channel. This is Pepino Man. I'm here with Dean, and we have never spoken, really had any conversation. So what we're gonna do is get to know each other. Just two collectors getting to know each other. This is the Four Collectors channel, Four Collectors. And Dean, you're a collector, right? What you like to dive into?
Well, first, thanks for having me. And I didn't realize those intros weren't added on later. And we got to actually experience that fantastic Four Collectors explosion. That's great. Well, no, I very much looking forward to it. Always been a big fan of your show. And I know, I'm sure folks want to hear from you a little bit about your experience with the World Series. It was probably one of the most fantastic World Series I've watched in quite a long time. Even though my team wasn't in it, I was still engaged, which I'm not always. Sometimes I'm like, I watch a little bit and I'm like, whatever, these teams. This time it was like solid. It was a really, really wild one. So, and you're there, you're in the flesh. So what was that like?
It was great. It was a little strenuous. I mean, most of these games were intense except for that blowout, But yeah, when your team is in it and you're watching it and they're about to lose, I mean, the emotional roller coaster is insane, when your team is in it. So I mean, so many other people say like this is one of the greatest World Series ever. So to have skin in it, not like I have skin in it like get money or anything, but it's my team. It was wild. It was wild.
That's amazing. And the 18 inning, that was in Dodgers, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so you were there for that whole thing.
Yeah, that's actually the second World Series 18 inning game that I've worked.
No,
And actually
what?
yeah, in 2018 they went 18 innings against the Red Sox.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so even though both games were 18 innings, the time difference was over an hour. The game in 2018 lasted an hour longer. And so this
Really?
game was shorter, and that's all thanks to the pitch clock, I mean, that's how big of a
Wow. I never thought about that. It really did work then. The whole
no,
point of it's working.
definitely does. Most of the games I remember before the pitch clock, we were averaging at Dodger Stadium 3.5, 4 hours. The games were finishing like close to 11. So like every Friday we have fireworks, and if the game isn't done by 10:30, the crowd cannot go into the field. And if the game isn't done by 10:45, because of the city ordinances, they can't have fireworks. And it's been
Okay.
plenty of times where with the 7 o'clock start time, the game didn't finish before 11, and they would cancel fireworks.
Wow. And now it's happening a lot more often.
Yeah. Well, now actually we have a lot more drone shows. They replace a lot of the fireworks with drones. Because I guess
Oh,
the drones.
really?
Yeah, because I guess with the drones, there's it's not explosions and so many lights in the air affecting the neighborhood. So
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. So it's still, what is it? Like lasers and like,
no, they're just drones with lights, man, and they'll have thousands of drones in the air, man, and they make
oh,
figures.
so it kind of is looks like fireworks, but it's like all drones doing stuff.
No, they don't do fireworks. They actually do like they'll form players and plays,
Oh,
and
wow, wow.
it's pretty insane. It's
So you
really.
guys have some serious technology over there. I don't think everyone has the drone shows like that.
Yeah, I'm
That's
not sure who
nice.
else does it. I know the Angels do it. I don't know
Do
who else
they?
does it. Yeah, they're fun.
Yankees don't do it. Not, I haven't been to actually, no, I did go to one night game this last season, but no drone shows for me.
Yeah. So yeah, man, that was my second World Series with 18 innings. Believe it or not.
That's crazy. That's crazy. And then you were there for the celebration, and I saw you with the trophies and Ice Cube rolling through.
Yeah, man. That was yesterday. So it was the end of the parade. That's what that was, where the parade ended, and then they go on the field and they have their celebration. Man, packed stadium. It was full. Yeah, man. You know, since 1988, I've been wanting a World Series win. You know, as an adult, where I wanted to experience it. And man, it was a long time coming. And I've had it and I experienced it, and I do kind of feel bad, you know, because I want to spread the happiness. You know, I wish every team, you know, it was a different team each year. I want everybody else to experience their team winning the World Series, man, because it's such an awesome feeling, you know.
Of
I love
course.
baseball, and so yeah, and I love the Dodgers. So I wish everybody else, man. You know, I see other people, you know, other channels and their favorite teams that haven't been in it for a long time, and you know, I've experienced it, man. I'm good now. Like, I mean, honestly, I wish we could win it at home. That's the only thing I haven't experienced is winning the World Series at home. But
Oh yeah.
I just really wouldn't mind other people winning it, man. I want everybody to know this feeling, you know?
Yeah, yeah. We don't need a Dodgers three-peat. We need to spread the love a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
That's great. That's great. Well, that's pretty sweet you were able to do that. I was definitely happy for you when I was watching those videos. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, man. So yeah, if there's anything else you want to know about the World Series or my work?
No, no, no. I mean, I see you out there. I see you out there. Looked looked like a good time, and you know, taking care of business at the same time.
Yeah, it was fun, you know, and then getting a chance to be up on stage as soon as the ceremony finished, they let us up on stage and we are celebrating with the players. So it was great. Took a picture with the World Series trophy.
Yeah,
But
that's sick.
yeah, enough of that. So okay, so we're both collectors. What I mean, do you have a niche? Do you have a focus when it comes to collecting, or do you just do it all?
So I've been spreading it out quite a bit. I feel like I've been exploring new avenues more and more. So I'm not you're hearing a lot about the focus and pare down stuff, and I'm still spreading. I'm
Yeah.
still spreading. So I was always a Ricky Henderson collector. Because he was always my guy, and I had Ricky cards. I mean, I always collected. As a little kid, I collected and, you know, open packs in the late 80s, and me and my bro, and just traded and, you know, went to card shops and did all that kind of thing. And then kind of eased out as like a teen. Still liked it, just didn't go too heavy. And then I actually ended up after school. I ended up getting a job at a sports memorabilia auction house,
Oh,
and
really?
I would basically, my job was sweet. Basically, every day I'd go in, grab a bunch of stuff, research it, and write about it. Write the little blurbs for the catalog,
Oh,
and then
wow.
when I was done, I'd like bring them all to my boss. He'd check them off or tell me to fix stuff, and that was my day. Then the next day, grab a new batch of stuff and do it again. And that got me like back caring about it again. And my family is all into sports memorabilia and cards. My pops was always a collector of memorabilia. So even during that, you know, he would be picking stuff up, and he was a big Yankee collector of just like crazy historical Yankee stuff. And so it was always kind of there. And
Yeah.
then I really I really started picking it up probably 2018, 2019, because my brother got back into it heavy. And then, you know, he was always talking to me about it, calling me about it. And I just slowly started getting back into it too. And at that point, it was like Ricky again. Like, oh, I wasn't even like, I didn't even know about like slabs and stuff. I was like, oh, what's this strange plastic over the card? And then now it's like, you know, I'm covered with slabs everywhere, and you know, ungraded stuff too, especially the Rickies. I've got like zillions of Rickies, and just always love that. And then I just started adding vintage in and started taking it in all kinds of directions. I love like the Venezuelan stuff now, and trying to dip into some of the Cuban stuff and the Japanese stuff. And you know, all the YouTube guys are open your eyes to new things to look into and things like that. So I've definitely been enjoying that quite a bit.
Yeah, definitely. And real quick, how did you get that job at that auction house?
So when I finished school, I was just looking for a job, and they literally had an ad for a catalog production assistant. And I was like, I was trying to do marketing, and I loved that vibe already. I had no idea like if I would get the job. I went in, they interviewed me. The dude who was like the owner of the company, it was a small auction house, hired me, and it was like a bit of a commute for me. I was living in like the Washington Heights neighborhood in New York, and this was on Long Island. So I was doing like this reverse commute, like in the worst rush hour traffic through the city every day, but definitely a cool job. Paid terrible, but enjoyable 8 hours.
Yeah. So what's some cool stuff that you saw sell?
Well, you know what's funny? So I moved a couple years ago, and I had all this shit, and I was like finding all this different stuff. I actually have it right here. I found my notebook that I would check off everything that I was writing about, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'd write what it is, and I'd check it. And there is some stuff like Ali Frazier, Thriller in Manila ticket. Just like, you know, because it was all memorabilia, not just baseball. Mariano Rivera game used glove. The Gilligan's Island monkey. It was like a prop. Like it was a monkey on the show, but like that somebody got it off the set and they were selling that. All kinds of cool stuff. Like Roberto Clemente game used hat. Wow. I wrote that one up. Like a team signed ball from the 72 Clemente. And I was laughing when I read this because I actually just picked that one up.
Yeah.
The 72 Clemente. I love this one.
Yeah, I just started working on that set. Man, but that's awesome. Me, when I was in high school, when I was 15, the guy, I used to go to this liquor store all the time and buy baseball cards and buy hats. And this guy that owned the store was like just telling me about like how him and his wife worked from when the store opened till the store closed, and his house was paid off, and now he wants to take some like time off, and he could afford to pay people. So he was asking me if I wanted to be a box boy, is what they called it at the time. So basically, I would refill all the beer. You know, I'm 15-year-old opening cases of beer and restocking. So that's basically was my job, is restocking the refrigerator, all beer. Yeah. I mean, that would take me like 4 hours. So it was like 4 hours a day. But yeah, he used to sell baseball cards. He had a case full of cards, and he gave me a job. So, you know, I was 15, so I was working under the table, you know. So I remember like, ooh, this is good, like nice. Like he would just give me cash. And then when I turned 16, he told me you got to get your worker's permit and do it legit. And that's when I learned about taxes. Like, oh man, taxes. You know what I mean? I was making half of what I used to under the table. But it was great. So, I was just buying cards. I had money for cards for a while, and then we got robbed, so my mom said, like, that's it. quit that job. So I had to quit. So, but
I
I made a good
remember. I
living.
remember you told that story. That was a crazy story that you told about that one. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
Um,
that's cool. We both work jobs, with cards and memorabilia and stuff. Sweet.
that's yeah, yeah. And that, that really, I was only there for a little over a year, and then I ended up doing something else. But oop, sorry, I gotta. So yeah, so I left that one, and I wasn't. That was like early 2000. So looking back now, Pepino, at what like that stuff sells for. Oh my God. I'm like, I would have
Yeah.
taken all my paycheck in memorabilia and card,
Yeah.
and I'd be like, wow, I'd be like retired tonight. Unfortunately, I was taking like whatever it was per hour and had no money. It was all going to rent. It wasn't going to too much fun cards or anything like that. But, nowadays it's a little bit easier. Can grab some stuff, pick
Yeah,
up things.
it is a shame how much the prices have changed, after COVID, and especially all these influencers. I've been watching a lot of videos, just people getting kind of upset about the new influencers in the hobby,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
the
yeah.
direction they like to speak of on the hobby. Like I remember, when Mangini first came on the scene, really before the boom, and he would say like, these cards that I have. I may have a car right now that's worth $10,000. That doesn't mean I bought it for $10,000 because I got it 20 years ago.
Yeah,
So he
yeah.
always said, I love that how he would say like, just buy stuff right now and add, and eventually you're gonna have a great collection because prices just go up. But back then they would go up steadily. You know what I mean?
Right,
Mike
right.
Wonder always gave that example. Like you might think you're overpaying now, but in the future, it's going to be worth more. But back then the prices moved so slow. But man, after COVID, yeah, same thing. There's so many cards that I have now that I would not be able to afford today. Because
Yeah.
I COVID. So I'm
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
glad I went the route that I went. Just to give you like a quick timeline, in the 80s and 90s, I was mainly just trying to put together sets, and obviously you go to card shows or card shops and you buy individual cards of players you love. But
Yeah.
I'm not mainly buying packs because I was like, hey, I have $1, buy a pack. It's easier to have $1 and buy a pack than when you're younger to try to save up $50.
Of
Uh,
course.
so then when I got my Dodger job, um, I started finding out about other card shops that are now opening up and stuff that's around. Started going to them and shows, and my focus was vintage. Like, wow, now I have enough money, as a working adult to buy the cards that I just admired as a kid. Which a $50 card was to me, as a teenager, oh, that's out of my price range. But
Yeah.
now I can afford them. So I'm really glad that from like 2004 to 2018 I was mainly focusing on buying vintage, because
Huge.
so many other. One of the things I used to say too back then. I had a vintage box. I had just one vintage box full of all the vintage cards that I've been buying,
Yeah.
and behind me I have, a million cards. Obviously, they're not a million, but say 20,000 cards, and I would say
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the 50 or 100 cards that are in this box are worth more than all the other stuff I have in my room.
Of course.
So I'm glad I went that route.
Yeah.
So you got back into it in 2018.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say, and it was slow too. Like I wasn't going crazy. I was dabbling. At all times I was, on the cusp. I would pick up little things here and there. Like I'd go a year where I would maybe grab like two, three, four cards because I would use eBay and stuff. And like I actually had, this is an example of one. it would be like cards that I find to be just really cool cards.
Mhm.
And I remember like as a little kid, and this is just in the little custom the Mag Pro. I've been loving these Mag Pros. I would go on and I would just remember a card that I loved, and like, oh, I love that I love that chef card with the brewer's hat. Almost reminded me like he had an ice grill, even though I think it was like braces, but it was like such a cool pick. And like, so I would go pick up a card here and there. And like Ricky Henderson stuff. Like I had a company, I started a company, small company, and I was making t-shirts and selling them. And every shirt I sold, I would put a Ricky Henderson baseball card in. So depending upon what shirt somebody bought, I would just choose a Ricky Henderson card that had like a aesthetic, like some of the colors in it would match the shirt they bought, depending what the shirt was. So like I was buying a lot of like raw Ricky cards for that purpose. And then of course enjoying them and like hitting people off with one here and there. So like there was always little things like that. And then but yeah, full like nowadays it's like I don't go a month without picking up something, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards. In total varying ranges and stuff. But I definitely have been doing it. Actually,
I mean, we're similar in that regards because when I started buying vintage, like when I started going to Frankensons and I convinced the dealers to give me layaway. So basically, if I wanted to make a Mantle card that was like $200, I would give them $50 every 2 weeks. So it would take me 2 months, a month or 2 months to pay off the card. So basically, I was buying, a nice vintage card every month, also every 2 months.
That's great.
So that's like I said. It took me probably like 5 years to fill up a box, doing layaway.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we have
got to chip away at it.
There.
It's funny because they do that like now eBay. No, eBay doesn't do it. PayPal is like, I know you don't really use eBay or any online stuff, right?
No.
So one of the things they do now, you could buy something. Say same as what you just said. You could go on eBay, buy like a $200 card, and when you're paying it with PayPal, which is like, just a way to pay, they offer that. They say, do you want to do 4 payments of 50 over like, I don't know, something like every 2 weeks or something. So that's still alive, even in the online world a little bit.
Yeah. So yeah, and we were talking about your Ricky Henderson giving a card with every purchase.
Yeah.
Back then, the Bo Jackson scorecard was $1. You know what I mean? Yeah. And every time I would see one, I would buy one. And every care package that I would give out, I would send one of those Bo Jackson cards. And during COVID, they went like insane. And so when you're a season collector, it's like, to me, it's like that's $1 card, sometimes 50 cents. You know what? And the new influencers guys just came in and pumped it up.
Yeah, that's so funny. That card's funny because Bo. I don't think Bo will sign that anymore. That card. Oh, there was some kind of like contract thing where he wasn't getting paid for it, so he's like, I'm not signing those. But it's funny you said that about the Bo. I have these Bo cards. No cane.
Yeah.
Turn your back on crack.
Yeah.
And a guy with the channel Mac Whack Stacks had one. I was like, that is the funniest card. I know there's a little glare. I was like, that's the funniest card. And I just went and grabbed a bunch. And now anytime I send someone something, I always throw this in too, just like what you were doing, but different Bo.
Yeah. Cool, man. So, man, Venezuelan cards. I've been very, very intrigued. I was talking to Orlando, asking him some questions about that because I would just like to own one. It doesn't have to be a star, So I asked him, hey, like, man, I would love to have a Venezuelan card. Doesn't have to be. I just want a card, a
Yeah,
Venezuelan card. Doesn't have to be a big player. I just want the card. I'm a collector. I'm intrigued
I
by
got
those
one
cards.
for you. I got
Uh,
one. I got one that you'd love.
well, but so basically, I asked them is how much are those cards? Like, can you find like a cheaper card of a nobody? He's oh yeah, there's
Yes.
nobody in there. They're still a little pricey, but they're not like the cards that they're showing.
Look at this one, Pepino. I absolutely love this card. Bruno Estaba, total no-name dude. He was like a Venezuelan like youth baseball star, made it into the winter leagues and the Venezuelan leagues. But I love this card so much.
Yeah, sweet.
Like,
And
look at that picture. It's like it reminds me of that Johnny Bench card where he's
yeah,
standing there with the chest protector and the backwards helmet from like 10 years later. But yeah, and all of these have the little write-ups.
yeah,
But no, there are so many really, really cool Vennies. You can get through the roof with them. And I have picked up some crazier ones, and like I love what got me into them first though were the Retirado cards.
yeah, retirado.
Yes. This is
Yeah,
the Cuban
I mean,
legend. Shout out
yeah.
to Orlando, Connie Marrero.
I find it always funny because in Spanish it's retirado, and I always hear everybody say retirado, and but no
Yeah.
big deal. But retired players.
I try my best to get it closer, but I see now that I'm slacking a little bit. It's better than retirado though. I'm at least easing closer to the pronunciation on that one. This one is a sweet one. The Whitey too.
Oh man,
Love that one.
yeah.
And he's rocking he's holding up to 25 for it was like from a press photo when he had his 25 win season. They used to like hold up jerseys that represented the number of the accomplishment. So I thought that was pretty sweet.
Yeah, I don't know swelling cars. I just need to get one. That's the whole thing too. I'm sure if I went on eBay, I could find one. But around here, all the car shows I've been to, I've never ran across one.
Yeah, even at the big shows, like now like the National, you'll see quite a bit. But like I remember when I first decided I was really loving these Retirados. Not full of any yet. I was just looking at the Retirados at first. And that was my goal going to the National. I was like, I gotta find Retirados. Nothing. This was like three years ago though, not this year. This year I saw a few more here and there, but like I was shocked. I was like, how are these not all over the place? But they are, they're still quite a bit more rare than your average cards, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of them, but a majority of them still have to be in Venezuela, right?
So maybe not, because there was a really, really big like migration of them from Caracas to the States back in the day, where a big time collector, and I'm spacing on his name right now, he went down there and he put an ad out in the paper for we're buying cards, and people would flock to the hotels and just sell them everything they had. And then he got with Chico Carrascal, who was a Venezuelan player who was playing in the States. He became buddies with him, and they kind of teamed up. So they'd go back down there and they'd say, listen, you could come get Chico to sign stuff and you could sell us your cards. And they would fill suitcases and suitcases of Ennies and just ship them back, fly back with it, go back down, fly back with it, because the cards are a lot more, they're weaker. It's a weaker cardboard and a very humid place, a humid country. So the cards just wouldn't hold up as well. So I'm sure there's tons still all over the place, but there was a major migration of them. Now they're all circulating around here, but it is a really cool story. Looking into that stuff for sure.
Yeah, like the tops the tops big cards. Are you familiar? Yeah, I'm sure you're familiar with these, right?
Yeah.
I remember when I don't know how long ago, so I wouldn't be accurate with this story, but when I first started putting the set together, people were telling me like, oh, those cards are pretty rare and they're hard to find. And then a story broke out that somebody in, I don't know if it was a storage, a warehouse, or a garage, they found pallets of unopened boxes of these, like
Oh wow.
thousands and thousands of them. So the prices kind of went down and gave me a chance to complete the set. But I couldn't remember exactly where that happened. But yeah, like supposedly this guy just found pallets of unopened
That's
cases
nuts.
of these. So the
It's always
rarity,
crazy.
yeah.
It's
So
always crazy when you hear those nutty stories, like someone bought a building and they opened the closet up and there was just a box on the ground with like Babe Ruth cards in it or something. And you're like, oh my goodness, that would be sweet.
yeah, I mean, you can always dream, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna start digging holes in my yard looking for some like Honus Wagner cards or something. Yeah, that's crazy.
Man, it's amazing. So what else do you collect?
So I'm all over the place, and I've been dipping a little into pre-war stuff. Like I picked up this T206. This is a guy, Howie Kamnitz from the Pittsburgh Pirates. I just thought this card was like so cool looking. The arms folded, the sunset, and this dude, he was a pitcher. He played with Honus Wagner, and it's funny. So the World Series, they won the World Series that year in 1909, and this guy pitched. So they were playing, the Tigers played Ty Cobb, and he was the pitcher in the game Ty Cobb stole home in the World Series, which was pretty cool. But he was pulled because he got too many guys on base. He was pulled, and in that, Ty stole home for the next pitcher, which I thought was a pretty funny story right there. But yeah, that was something cool, kind of random, like all kinds of stuff. Some classics, some super classics.
Oh man, I totally missed out on that card. That's one of those cards that I could have bought, if I was focusing on Hank Aaron back then.
Yeah.
Like I said, back then the prices were so steady. I'll give you an example, of something that has changed for me as advice. I'm by no means an influencer at all. And I don't try to change people's mind or tell them what to do. But people ask you questions, people would ask you, and people would ask me, like, hey, like, what do you recommend you start a set, or and I would always say, buy a starter set and start buying all the commons that you don't have, because they're $1 each or 50 cents each, and you feel like you're making progress, and then buy the stars after. But back then, the prices of the stars didn't just jump up. It felt like they're going to stay in the same price range forever, go up with $50 a year. But now I would give you totally opposite advice and just buy the stars first, because now these guys are doing a $500 card in 2 months could be a $2,000 card. It's I can't predict it anymore. The hobby was so steady you didn't have to predict anything. It was just, a slow rise. Even the influencers that came in 2018, 2020, they never mentioned vintage when it came to flipping, because there was no money in flipping vintage. The prices in the store. And so, yeah, now I would give you totally different advice, because I can't predict a hobby anymore. Been in the hobby for
Yeah, yeah.
40 years, and I was really good, I thought, as predicting how the hobby was going. And now, no way. I can't tell you which way it's going.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's very tough to keep up with. Not that there's anything to keep up with, but you know what I mean? Like for me, I don't focus enough on any one thing that I can always shift. If something gets too nuts, you gotta shift away. And as you said, like it's funny because like, I love the YouTube stuff, but like something about promoting what you like and look for to a bunch of people that are like, ooh, that's a good idea. And now you've just created more competition. You're making it harder to find the stuff you want. People are grabbing the things you want to grab. So it's like, ooh, got to try to talk about it after you're done. Once you've got the last one, then you can start sharing it. Well, it's funny because I don't really collect sets, but sometimes I end up collecting a decent percentage of a set, depending what it is. And it's funny because I picked this bad boy up, and which was like one of my most sought after cards when I grabbed this one, right? The Bob Gibson. And it's pink. And I always loved that it was pink. And it's funny because I know you had a thing with pink cards.
Yeah.
And you'll laugh at this because I started with this, right? This was the first, not the first 59, but the first pink one. Since then, Pepino, I started just collecting the pinks. And I'm down to one left, Tony Taylor. And I like kind of don't want to get it because then I'm done. But I got him. I got all the pinks.
Sweet. Yeah.
So this is a funny one. I'm just skipping through quick. But yeah, so like, and it was funny. I was at a flea market. And sometimes there's zero cards, sometimes there's just like the worst cards, and sometimes you're like, oh, this is actually half decent. This guy had binders, and in the binders were like each page would be like 97 Don Russ, 3 Topps cards from the 80s, a random 2014 card, and it was like pretty bad. And I'm just turning the pages, and there was one pink 59 Topps in there, and I was like, I didn't have my list on me, of course, and I wasn't sure if it was the card. And I was if this is that freaking card, I'm going to die. I think it was like $2. I come home and it was one card away numerically. It was the, what was it? The Dick Schofield. I was like, I have 2 of these now. Damn it. I thought fate just came into play, but it didn't.
Yeah, see, but when it comes to the Bob Gibson card, I don't see pink. I just see his rookie card, and Bob Gibson, I got more into him. All right. Have you ever heard of that movie, $1 Million Arm?
$1 Million Arm. No.
Okay. There was these 2 guys from India that entered a contest of just anybody that could throw hard. And there was a pitching coach, Tom House. He worked with so many people, Nolan Ryan. So he gained all kinds of fame. And he just said he made I don't know, he just swore that he could turn somebody like from another country that's never pitched before into like a major league pitcher if they could throw hard, and offer them $1 million contract. So we got these two brothers from India. And so I work at USC full time. I work there during the day, and Dodgers my game time. I'm game time staff, so I work the games at Dodger Stadium. So that's it. I'm kind of done, except for if
Yeah.
you have to come in for some high school games or a concert or something. But so this guy brought these two guys from India, and so they would throw off the mound, and they were, started off like in the high 70s, and then he got him up to the 80s, but he couldn't get him to pitch any faster. So if you don't know this, the mound is 10 inches tall from the plate, the rubber. If you raise it 2 inches to 12 inches, you're gonna throw like 5 miles an hour faster, just naturally. You raise it up to 14, they're throwing in the 90s. You raise it to 16 inches, these guys are throwing in the high 90s. So
I know where you're going with this.
Yeah.
I know where you're going with it. Yeah.
They were thrown in the high 90s, but off an illegal mound. And then when they had their actual tryout, they made them pitch off a 10-inch mound, and they were not reaching anywhere near the speed they were reaching on a 16-inch mound. So so that intrigued me about Bob Gibson.
Yeah.
And I started looking him up and talking, because I heard about, how they changed the rule for the rubber after him.
Yeah.
And, it's interesting to me how people would always say other players. I've always heard that, oh man, he would stare at you and he was scary. And he looked you in the eyes like, he would scare you, just his appearance on the mound. And then I remember watching a clip of him, and he was saying, when I was on the mound, I needed glasses, but I didn't want to wear them because I looked goofy or whatever with the glasses, so I didn't wear them. So when the pitcher was showing me the signs, I had to squint to try to
see.
Yeah,
That's great.
But the batters thought he was like Mad Dog, or giving them dirty looks, So I always found that. Then I don't know, one of those things is how you become to love a player, reading about their history and learning about them. And that got me interested in the Bob Gibson. But man, that ship has probably sailed for me. But I love that card. I don't care that it's pink. I don't see pink with that card. I just see a awesome pitcher with a great history.
Yeah, it really is a sweet one. It really is. Yeah. The pink, you're right. It's funny how it's just such an iconic one. And once in a blue moon, it's almost like the randomness of, I guess, any card company, but how Topps would just, pink has nothing to do with Cardinals. It's just his card ended up being pink. And just like George Brett with his rookie, and it's like, the bright green, and it's like, doesn't make sense, but it just makes it so iconic. And when you're a rookie, you don't know it's going to be an iconic card until it's an iconic card, 20 years, 30 years later. But that's always a cool one, though.
I mean, so talk. That's it. Oh, okay. I just opened up one of my vintage boxes. I haven't looked in it for a while. So these are the two cards I have sitting on top.
Nice.
Like the Sandy Koufax rookie. This is what I used to love about the hobby. Like back then when I bought it, this is way before my YouTube days. I was on Instagram, and collecting on Instagram and Facebook back in the day. What I loved about it is that you could talk to a collector from Boston and he hates the Dodgers, or collectors from New York, Yankees, he hates the Dodgers. And then I'm getting Aaron Judge cards, and I'm, like, well, I'm not a big fan of the Yankees. And we could make like lopsided trades now that are considered lopsided.
Yeah.
But back then they were like, oh, great, I'm getting rid of this guy I don't like. Here, you can have this Kershaw autograph. I don't like Kershaw. Or,
Right.
Here, you can have this Big Papi rookie. I don't follow the him as much.
Yeah.
It was it was awesome back then, you know. And now that we have eBay and comps, it's like, it's even across the board now. And sometimes I wish it would go back to the good old days where you just followed
Yeah.
your team, you knew your team, and hated the other teams, you know.
Oh yeah, that's so funny. I remember when I was a little kid, and a neighborhood kid knew we collected cards, me and my brother, and he came over and he had cards. And like, I think he was a Mets fan. And well, I was in New Jersey, so like I like the Mets, I like the Yankees, like they were still like the local teams. And he was trying to get Mets. And I remember I didn't really know vintage that much. I'd see him in shops, but like I wasn't collecting any vintage. It was just whatever the packs were. And I remember he had it wasn't a rookie, but it was an Expos Gary Carter.
Mhm.
And I was like, I don't even think I knew he played on the Expos. And I see this Expos Gary Carter, and I thought it was the coolest card. And I'm like, I probably gave him like a bunch of Mets cards for it. I can't even remember what I gave him, but I'm like, looking back, it's like he probably had no interest in this Expos card, wanted his Mets. And I'm looking at it like, that's a sweet ass card. I want that.
Yeah, like on the spine of my 75, I have the Gary Carter rookie. You know,
Yes.
if I have a card on my spine, that means I also have it in the set. You know, I don't take it out of the set to put it on. So I have two Gary Carter rookies, and there was a guy called Carter's Kids, and when he saw that one time, he was like, "Is that a Gary Carter rookie on your spine?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Whoa, wow! Why do you like Gary Carter?" Like, you know, I'm like, "Oh, with me is." I remember the baseball bunch. He was on there a lot. Him, Ozzie Smith, Johnny Bench. I go, a lot of these players from the 70s and 80s, I became big fans of them watching the baseball bunch. You know, so
Yeah.
yeah, I love Gary Carter, Ozzie Smith, Johnny Bench, all the guys that used to come on that show. You know, man, the 80s to me was the greatest era of collecting because, you know, Beckett came out later and it was still new and it didn't have a big influence on the prices still, you know, at least not overall. It just gave,
Yeah.
back then it was considered a base. You know, this is like what you base your prices of. It wasn't like
Right.
telling you this is how much this card is worth. This is, you know, it was just kind of telling you like it's around this price range.
Yeah. Yeah.
Baseball in the 80s, I loved it. Growing up, Daryl Strawberry was my favorite player, you know, in the 80s. I tried to mimic him and stuff. And really quick, getting off subject, you know, about mimicking. So the World Series, that you know that player on the Blue Jays, the guy has that mustache and the glasses. I forgot his name, but
Yeah.
anyways, that guy said that when he gets in a slump, he looks at video of other players and copies their swing. All right, so
Wow.
like if he's in a slump and he can't get out of it, he would watch Aaron Judge videos and basically copy his swing and he get out of the slump. And he'll use that same swing for a month or two. When he gets in a slump, he'll look at somebody else. So during the World Series, he actually copied Will Smith's swing, and you know he hit a couple home runs using basically imitating Will Smith. You know,
Wow.
I had never heard that before of somebody who
No.
did that. You know what I mean? Back in the days, people would talk. You know, I played baseball, so people when you get in a slump,
Yeah.
okay, move in here or move
Right.
back, hook up on the bat. But I never heard copy
Yeah.
this guy.
Yeah.
Never
You
heard that.
think you think as a professional there'd be some like professional coaching tips that change the swing, not like I want to pretend I'm this guy and oh shit, look, now I'm back. That's great. It's almost like he's back to playing like a kid, which is pretty
Yeah,
sweet. That's
yeah.
awesome.
So, and real quick, says I showed also this Jackie Robinson, the 56. Um, I have like the 54. I have a couple of Jackie Robinsons, and I never paid full price for them. Two of them, when I was on Facebook, people enter my name into Raz. I don't know if they do Razes anymore. But that's when somebody puts up a card and they sell tickets. So everybody puts $1 in, and you get a ticket and they draw it. And
Oh yeah, yeah.
so other people just, you know, blessed me with putting my name on a ticket and buying me a spot for $1. And I won 2 Jackie Robinson cards that way,
Wow.
back like in 2015 for my Dodger group, so I basically got them for free.
That was one of them, the 56.
Yeah, the 56, I think the 54. Um, yeah,
Damn.
just
You know, you know what's funny about the 56, and I recently it's another one of the sets that are from like the 80s that I like got myself loving, and it's these the big head tops
Yeah.
89s, because it's like the 56.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That's what I've said before.
You got the white border around the head, and you got the action, right? And then of course like cool cartoons on the back. But I went a little crazy and I just started grabbing up all of like, not the whole set. There's like 800 or something, but all like my favorite guys. I was just started grabbing them.
Yeah,
Actually, you know what's funny? You know, these guys, they played high school baseball together.
Really?
Yeah. Didn't realize that. Learned it on the back of the Eddie Murray card. So right there, I was like, "Oh, damn, that's crazy."
Yeah, like Darryl Strawberry and Eric Davis played together. That was both, because both of them went to the Dodgers eventually. But Eric Davis, Darryl Strawberry, man, I don't know. The '80s, I could just go on about the '80s, man. I love that.
Pepino, do you mess with? And it's a weird set. I feel like people aren't into it because they're like artsy. You ever mess with those Project 2020s or Project 70s?
Yeah, I got tons of them.
I don't know if you have this one, but it's your boy Daryl, and it's basically it's a play on, I don't know if you know the rapper from New York, MF Doom. It's like a play on one of his album covers. So he's got like the graffiti Daryl.
No, I don't.
And it's him with the mask on.
I have a bunch of like the Mickey Manos, the Ken Griffey. I didn't know they even made a Darryl Strawberry one.
Yeah, I stumbled on it
a lot. Didn't really look into it as much.
This was one. It's your boy, pre-Dodgers, but
yeah. Oh, Eric Davis.
Oh no, Shohei.
Oh, I have this one. I just talked about it in one of my last videos. The Shohei. It's an advent calendar, rookie PSA 10, and
sweet one.
I was in the hospital. I have asthma, and every once or twice a year, maybe now, I'll have an asthma attack, and I just go to the hospital, and they give me some breathing treatments, and they might keep me there. And so they were going to release me, and there was a card shop right down the street from that hospital, and I went right after, and I found that card for like $100, under $100, and I bought it, and I'm glad I did. Because somebody before me, I talked about it, and somebody commented on that. Hey, that's over $300, and I was like, "Oh wow!"
I was gonna say I don't pay attention to the prices, but I'm sure his have to be going crazy right now, right?
Yeah. Let me show you something real quick. What is it? Like this jersey, I got it for $10. I think in 2018. So it's his Japanese jersey from the Fighters. But yeah, it was $10, and I remember at the time when I went to the card shop and I heard and they were talking about him, and they were talking about him basically how the scouts were saying, "Oh, he can't hit the curveball. He's not that good." Like it was the American scouts were kind of hating on him, that he's not
Yeah.
going to make any mistakes. And so I said, "Well, how much? So you guys giving away this jersey then? So you guys don't like them?" He said, "You can have for $10." Well, took it. No, I think
That's
20.
crazy.
Yeah, but I was believing the hype back then. Like I really believe he was going to be good.
You were you set the trends before it was known, Pepino. That's cool though. That's a sweet one.
Yeah. So what else you got? You want to show off?
Oh man. What do I have? Oh, you finished your 71s, right?
I need one more card for the 71s.
Where you need still?
The Dusty Baker. That's going to be my last one.
Are you putting it off too?
As soon as I see it, I'm going to buy it. There's this guy who messaged me on one of the Facebook groups that says he has it. So if I'm going to make another round everywhere, and if I don't find it in person, I'll probably buy it off of him. I want to buy it for sure. I got to get it.
I mean, that's a sick set. Yeah, of course you have to get it. I picked up. So I don't know if you saw it. There was, and he's been popping up on different folks' channels a bit. Eddie Watt, and his 71 is super cool. And it was funny because he has a Band-Aid on his hand right there, and somebody asked him what it was. And he told this story about how the Orioles would play in sort of like intramural basketball games with like different teams in Baltimore. And they were playing like a church team. And this bigger dude was on Eddie, and he kept messing with him. He kept like hitting him a little too hard. And he's like, "Yo, you got to chill. You got to chill." Hits him again. Eddie pops up, punches him in the face, screws his hand up. But the best part of the story was the dude was a priest. So Eddie punched the priest in the face and like broke his hand, and it wasn't healed yet when it was time for the Topps photo shoot. So it wasn't like cast need, like it wasn't a cast needed break. So he just had it all bandaged up. But when I heard that story, I was like, "Oh man!" And I had to grab a bunch. Same thing. So now I just kind of will throw one of those around if I'm sending someone something because I loved it.
Yeah. In one of Mickey Mantle's books, I think it's probably the one about 56 where he talks about his Triple Crown. He talks about how Don Drysdale was the scariest pitcher he's ever faced. That Don Drysdale would hit you on purpose. He didn't care. And so on one of the games, the infield was playing out, and Mickey Mantle bunted. And he ran to first, and he got a hit. He was safe. And when he got back to the base, Don Drysdale went up to him and stepped on his foot and just grinded his foot in with his cleat. And Don Drysdale told him, "Don't you ever do that to me again," And he was just like, "Yes, sir." Because Don Drysdale was like a big guy. And I've told that story before, like, because I read it in the book. And I mean, so this was like when I first got on YouTube. And I remember getting a few comments like, "That can't be true. Like, Mickey Mantle's not afraid of anybody." But then later on, I did see a clip where he talked about it like, "Oh, Don." He was talking about Sandy Koufax. He said Sandy Koufax would have been so much better if he would throw at people, or if he like gave you a bad look or intimidated you. But he was such a nice guy. That's what makes Sandy Koufax even better, because he wasn't intimidating. So to do what he did without intimidation was so great, because Don Drysdale, Bob Gibson, there were so many pitchers of the Mad Hungarian. that
Yeah.
they were good because batters were afraid that they were going to throw at them, hit them, or whatever. That they were
Right.
intimidated, But I was not intimidated by Sandy Koufax, but he could still strike me out,
Yeah, that's sweet. That's a cool thing to have as your sort of legacy, is the good guy that would still
Yeah.
just blow your socks off out there. That's awesome. That's
All right,
awesome.
man.
Pepino, we went to the hour mark. We were talking about going 30, so we don't need to keep going. But this was really good. I had a great time on here with you.
Again, so yeah, people. I mean, we've never talked, we've never met. I do remember you from you making your video response for one of my videos, and that was the first time I found out
that
who
was
your
my
brother
first
was.
video.
Yeah, that was super
That was
sweet. And remind everybody, like, people out here that don't know who your brother is.
Yeah, my bro Darren is returned to collecting, so he got me into this YouTube world. Like, I never saw 1 second of sports card YouTube until he started really getting into it. And when he was getting started, I was helping him, like, with his intros and his, like, video stuff and the edits and little graphics and things, because I do graphics and design and everything. So he was tapping me for that. And I was trying to watch who's out there and, like, tell him what I'm seeing and getting him, like, some info about what everyone's up to. And then slowly just, all of a sudden I'm in the mix. And when you did your VR, I was like, oh, that's such a sick one. And I'm telling him, I'm like, you got to do Pepino's VR. He's like, oh, yeah, I'll do it. He was slow to get it done. And I'm like, you know what? I'm doing this. I'm just doing this. And then that's, that was the first one. And then, I don't post a ton, but I like to keep it every once in a while consistent, throw something out there.
Yeah. With me, the Dodger season is like when I had the least time for YouTube, and it's over, man. So hopefully I can get back on track and start making more videos, So hope to see you soon, and maybe we could do this again on my channel. Just shoot the breeze, man, because we were on for an hour, but it doesn't seem like we covered a lot. I'm sure we have a lot more to talk about.
Yeah, I had all kinds of stuff. We didn't even touch it, but it was still fantastic. So yeah, anytime, Pepino, you just hit me up.
All right, man. Hey, everybody, this was great. Thanks for watching. For me and Dean, we are the Four Collectors channel. Thanks for watching, man. Thanks, Dean, for being on. It was great getting to know you, but we got a lot more to talk about.
Oh yeah. Much appreciated.
All right. Ciao.
Love my hobby. Keep collecting baseball cards.
But hey, we want to keep the lights on here at Four Collectors Studios, so hit the like button for us, guys.
So thanks everybody for coming, and we'll see you next time on Four Collectors.
All right, guys, have a great rest of your night. Subscribe to the Four Collectors channel if you haven't done so yet, and we'll see you soon.
All right, guys. Clemente Collector has said we hit a grand slam, so that makes me feel good.